Okay. Let's see. Let us see. Okay. Okay. You know, haven't I have too many monitors. I have way too many monitors. It's kinda crazy. Kinda crazy. Let's see here. Let's see here. Cool. Yeah. Nah. Okay. Sure. Sure. Everything seems to be going well. So, there's that. But I don't know what that means. Okay, stream settings, stream health, stream is healthy, awesome. Alright, I think I'm just good. Man, this is the first stream in a hot minute. I'm pretty sure I always at least multi-stream onto Twitch. So, I'm curious what my last stream was. Last stream was... I don't know, because it doesn't hold on to it that long. My VODs are already gone. So... I think it was talking about Andor? I think that's what it was. But it's been whatever Twitch's VOD auto delete timer is. What is that? Probably like 60 days? I mean, that makes sense. Oh, that's crazy. That's nutty. Okay. All right. Okay. So, I'm going to be reacting to a few things. Mainly because I was going to record a few videos tonight, but I figured might as well stream it at the same time just in case people want to stop by, whether on YouTube or... Shut up, Bixby. Whether on YouTube or Twitch, which more than likely YouTube. Especially because I also just released a new short, seeing if that can bring in some people as well. So then if they like the short, they can jump at the stream if they want to, see what I'm like, hate me, leave, so on and so forth. But... Oh, okay. Is that... I don't know what that is. Alright, thanks, Moobot. I need to get rid of that, apparently. But, let's take a drink, and then let us... Look at that transition. Let's watch a couple videos. One is longer, but we'll get to that later. But I saw How It Should Have Ended released a Kenobi show. And I'm really curious what it's going to say. So I wanted just to record it because, you know, why not? Why not? Oh, pre-rolls are automatically off. Oh, sweet. I hate pre-rolls on Twitch. Twitch is trash. But yeah, I got a couple of videos I want to watch. I got some new stuff I want to go over that I have had up for a while. It's been multiple weeks since some of this stuff was tweeted out because Twitter's basically my main source of news because I don't trust anything else. But yeah, you know, having a child, that kind of puts a damper on some things sometimes and makes you delay things that you initially had planned to do. But without further ado, let's take a drink of water and let's check out how Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi should have ended. Let's turn this down a little bit.
We're tracking an escape craft. There's one life form aboard.
That's him.
My lord, we must continue our pursuit of the insurgents. We cannot prioritize one lone Jedi.
I know that. Do you think I'm stupid? We have more than one ship, you know. Ready, please him alone. You stay on the insurgents.
Of course, my lord.
And maybe launch some TIE fighters instead of standing around just staring out the window.
Okay, we will. Jeez.
Launch some TIE fighters instead of staring out the window.
That idea.
It just has it blown up. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember when that happened. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
That is my only mask!
Oh, Anakin, I'm so sorry.
No, you're not!
No, I'm not. That's kind of exactly what I meant to do.
I hate you so much.
Oh, come on, Anakin. I did you a favor, really. This place is so dark. It's a wonder you can see anything in that helmet.
How are you not burned?
What are you talking about?
I dragged you through fire, and it did nothing.
Oh, right, yes. I don't know.
I don't know.
No singed hair!
I dipped my stub of a leg in lava one time, and I burst into flames. What is happening to me? I pulled the wrong ship out of the sky. I buried you in a pit of boulders. That didn't even work. I even stabbed Reva with my lightsaber, and I'm pretty sure she didn't even die.
Whoa. Now, wait, just a minute. Hold on. Surviving lightsaber stabbings. You can do that now?
You can do that now!
Master Qui-Gon, where have you been?
Oh, I've always been here. You just weren't ready.
But I called out to you several times. Wait, you've always been here?
Oh, yes, I'm afraid I've seen a lot of things. You use the bathroom excessively, my old Padawan.
Gross.
You're telling me.
I'm supposed to
You're
be
telling
the
me.
most powerful Jedi ever. At the very least, my lightsaber should finish off some rookie Inquisitor.
Perhaps she used the Force to heal herself.
Force healing.
There's no way that can also be a thing. Why didn't anyone try that on me when I got skewered?
Guys.
I think this hole in my helmet is making it harder to breathe.
Well, perhaps you should use the Force to heal your lungs.
Don't make me destroy you.
Well, if you can't kill with a lightsaber, how are you going to kill a Force ghost?
Good point, Master.
Both of you are sacks of
Odd choice of last words.
At least now he can be at peace.
And better yet, my old Padawan, he'll never learn about his secret children.
my secret one.
I had a feeling that was gonna happen.
I was hiding in your ship this whole time.
What the?
And I'm your real dad.
What the?
And we are still here too.
Oh, blast.
What do you mean? Hello there.
I think you mean hello there.
Well, thanks, Anakin. Thanks for all of it.
Whee! I'm floating!
Okay. Alright, that was pretty funny. That was that was pretty good. You know, just watching this makes me remember how weird some of the stuff towards the end of Kenobi was. Like that, like they had TIE fighters. Oh man. Yeah, those are things that could have probably helped the Empire there, but you know, plot and stuff like that. That was pretty good. I do want to go through the shows that came out last year. I also want to do a tier list, so maybe I'm going to go through all the shows that came out last year, rewatch them. I might do a tier list of that, so subscribe if you want to see that video when it comes out. And then maybe also do kind of like a retrospective on each of the shows, because thinking back on it, to me, Andor just stands above the rest so much. It's insane. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube as a video, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. And also, yeah, sub for me streaming in the future. Man, I really stumbled over the end there. What, didn't I? That was rough. That was rough. But I'm hoping to do more streams in the future. As said in my 2023 goals for this channel, I want to stream, what was it, 50 times in a year? Something like that? I don't know. That's kind of funny. Why did my YouTube stream get banned? Was it because of this? Is this copywritten? Was there music in here that got copywritten? I'm confused. Okay. Is that still live now? Huh? No? Interesting. How do I, okay, you know, YouTube stream stuff is so confusing. Okay, I want to go, let's go back to studio. All right, cool. Now, go to content, live. I'm considered live right now. Am I? It says I am. Am I? Though? Yeah. It's been temporarily blocked. Maybe it'll come back up. I have no idea. Weird. Alright. Well. But I also wanted to watch this, but it's 23 minutes long, so I don't know if I'll get to this today. But it's by Mace Windu, who I follow on Twitter. I haven't checked out any of his videos, but he said this is a video about how he stopped hating Last Jedi, whereas it's kind of the opposite for me. I loved Last Jedi initially, and I've slowly soured on it. I still like it. I think I like it more than any other any other movie in the sequel trilogy. But, interesting. But I do want to watch this. Apparently it's a rare 77 interview with Harrison Ford about Star Wars. So I'm curious what this is all about.
Just get a tape recording and, come up and doing their number. Really bad.
Well, none of them have been, they've all been at least
6 seconds ago.
Harrison, I wonder, working in Star Wars, where you're surrounded with so much hardware and special effects and things that you had to imagine, you didn't actually have the setting there. The first time you saw...
Just wait until the prequel trilogy.
Star Wars, what were some of your thoughts and your reactions?
Well, I was delighted, of course, and very proud of the people that created it. Grateful to be a part of it.
But did some of it look different from what you had imagined it was going to look?
Well, I had no idea of how skillful or spectacular the special effects were going to be.
I think that's one thing that some people sometimes forget is how groundbreaking the special effects and just the studios that George Lucas basically created just from Star Wars. I'm pretty sure Pixar came out because of Star Wars. It's insane.
Was surprised by that, but I knew pretty much what the rest of it was going to be like. Yeah.
Did any particular thing grab you as far as the special effects and where you just thought, wow, I didn't know it was going to be like that?
Well, that opening shot is a stroke of genius. I don't want to describe it for fear of ruining it for somebody else, but there is an opening special effects shot which most audiences applaud. It's almost the first shot of the picture, and that's very, very nice to see.
Yes.
You know that you have...
It is kind of crazy how one of the most, if not the most iconic shot, well, probably not the most because there's I Am Your Father, but one of the most iconic shots in Star Wars is the first shot anyone has ever seen. That's insane to think about.
That you have the audience from that point on.
Have you always been a kind of Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, sci-fi fan?
No, I never have. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen one of those Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon
Well,
serials.
now we have something in common, Harrison, because...
Because you haven't either.
No, I never read that stuff when
No,
I was a kid.
neither did I.
Never interested me, as a matter of fact. And I've never...
Well, George did. George, but this is George's movie.
I love how sometimes Harrison looks so uninterested in an interview, but he's still like peak interactive, if that makes any sense. It'll sound like he's not paying attention, but he knows every word that was coming out of the person's mouth.
And George was able to write something which was accessible to my intelligence so that I could come up with something that I'd never seen before.
Well, that's what is interesting to me, is the fact that people like you and me and others that I've talked with who say, well, I don't like sci-fi, I don't like that sort of thing.
But I like
wow,
this.
I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
Why do we like this?
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people.
It's always like described as a space opera, which I think goes to Harrison's point right here.
It's finally about people and not finally about science. So the energy of the movie goes towards
I think this has been a little loud, so I'm going to turn it down a bit.
exploring these human relationships, and I think that's what makes it so accessible to people.
When you were making the film, I'm thinking of specifically the robots, for instance. Did they have problems with those because there were people inside them?
There were sometimes people inside, and sometimes, sometimes they were all mechanical. There were about 4 or 5 different versions of R2-D2, the small robot, and I think only one of them was used with...
I think it's funny how, because this is in 1977, obviously Star Wars isn't massive, he had to say R2-D2, the small one.
with a person inside of it. But they have, of course, inevitable problems with that much technology. And of course, movies are made under such demands of time and money that it's inevitable that difficulties arise with this stuff. And everything that was being done for the first time. So there were a lot of problems technically.
I just said that. ILM, Pixar, that fun stuff.
To deal with.
Did this make for a tenseness?
No.
No?
No, I think it just created a well of energy to deal with it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of energy.
Harrison, are you beginning to see the effects of Star Wars on your personal life and your career? Maybe things that haven't been happening up till now for you?
Well, everyone has respect for success, and this film is certainly a success. And it has produced the inevitable change for me, yeah.
In what way?
Well, there are a lot more scripts for me to read and a lot more people interested in using my services, much to my delight.
Much to my delight.
Recognition, do you, when you go out in public, are you beginning now to be, people say, running up to you and want to
Well,
talk
you know, I
about it?
saw the film with an audience for the first time about 3 days ago. Sat next to two people who just were sitting through the film for the second time. And they engaged me in a conversation about the film, telling me how much they enjoyed it and what it was all about. And I asked them a few questions about specifics of why they enjoyed it so much. After the film was over, they asked me why I had left during the middle of it if I didn't like the movie. And they didn't recognize me at all. No.
Really?
No. I've
That's hilarious.
I've never been recognized. In fact, in my early career, I considered that to be sort of a problem, that characters that I played in different movies, it was not acknowledged that it was the same person doing the job.
I bet all that's going to change, though. Harrison, thank you so much
I would
for talking
say-
with us today.
I would say that it did change a little bit. I'd say his life changed just a little bit after Star Wars. That's hilarious. All right, It is. Oh, okay. All right. So it is live. Sorry, I missed your chat. My stream was blocked for a little bit on YouTube because I was watching how it should have ended. But yeah, it is crazy how good I think the thing about the original trilogy, the original trilogy. I think the thing about that doesn't hold up as well is the audio. The audio can be very different in the same scene. Like one line from one person, there's like maybe like a background static noise, whereas the audio for another person isn't. An example is, which you can kind of tell in my YouTube video about my favorite Star Wars scenes, is that in the scene in A New Hope, where it's go into the garbage chute flyboy, where Leia shoots, says that, you can hear that it's like a different mic or something like that that's picking up the audio completely different than from Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford. And then when Mark Hamill immediately says something right after, I think it was Luke that said something after, the audio just sounds completely different. I think that's the one thing about the OT movies that doesn't hold up as well. But I mean, the VFX and everything is so good. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is kind of like, to me, an older version of Lord of the Rings. Because Lord of the Rings, those visual effects, my Lanta, like, you can watch those movies today, and they look like they were maybe made a couple of years ago. That's how good and how well those visual effects hold up. It is actually crazy that movies 2 decades old hold up so well. And then kind of in the same vein for Star Wars, it's just to a lesser extent because that was like 5 decades ago. In about 4 years, so like 46 years ago. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how just Star Wars visual effects holds up. Honestly, it'll be interesting to see, because obviously prequel effects look pretty good still. I wonder if those will hold up as well as the original trilogy effects in the long run. Obviously, the OT stuff will like look more dated, but it's just a matter of kind of taking you out of it a little bit. And obviously, the sequel trilogy just looks so damn good. Which, speaking of Last Jedi, I feel like Last Jedi looked the best out of any of the sequel movies. Which I think would be hard to argue with. But I was maybe not going to watch this, but, you know, I think I will. Might as well. I don't know how loud this is going to be, so let's turn this down a little bit. And see what Mace Windu. thinks about The Last Jedi.
It together, and we knew what was going to happen, so we weren't getting utterly shocked and angry. We still had commentary since we had seen it. We commentaried during the movie, and I remember it ended, and I was like, that wasn't as bad as I remember. Wasn't quite as bad as I remember. And I remember I thought back to all those times over the years that I was raging about it, talking about, this just doesn't happen. Why does that happen? And when you're mad at something, you always try and find a way to get angry at the little things that may not have.
Yeah, I was very tempted to get the Lord of the Rings 4K box set, because it would be insane to watch some of those scenes in 4K. But yeah, there's definitely, passion isn't even specific to the movie industry. I feel like it's even more so in the games industry, which you could tell with Battlefront 2.
Have bothered you if you had enjoyed the movie. So I was like, and then this was wrong, and then that was wrong, and then this was wrong, and then that was wrong. Why would they do it like this? And I remember when I knew what we were getting, the other stuff that I had issue with still kind of bothered me, but it didn't affect me as much, and I wasn't as angry watching it.
Stay a while and listen.
It's time to talk about my journey with The Last Jedi. It is Monday at the time of recording this. I'm Mesa Windu. Hello, everyone.
Mesa Windu. Okay.
Your holiday
Now I know how to
season,
say it.
and I hope you guys are enjoying your week so far. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about my relationship and journey with Star Wars Episode 7, The Last Jedi. It's no secret The Last Jedi is one of the most divisive films come out of this franchise pretty much ever. I don't think any other film has come close to being this divisive amongst us.
Absolutely not.
Reason. There are a lot of things that were new about it. There were a lot of things that introduced new features to Star Wars that hadn't previously been explored. There were moments that you hadn't really seen.
I'll have to check that out.
There was a lot of new stuff about it. There was also a lot of stuff that ticked a lot of people off, and at least initially, I was one of them. It was 2017 when I saw it. It came out around December of 2017. Me and my college buddies saw it, I think one of the first few nights it wasn't opening night.
I love the aesthetic of Last Jedi. People hate it and stuff like that, but the aesthetic is so good.
Saw the initial,
especially the poster. I love the poster.
And none of us really had any doubt that it was going to be poorly received, but in terms of critics, everybody seemed to like it, and that gave us more excitement going forward. Now, we were going to go see that movie regardless, even if the critics came out throwing up. But it did bolster your own excitement for it. And I remember watching the movie, and I remember slowly, and this is initially, by the way, I remember slowly but surely becoming less and less enthusiastic about the movie as it went on. And then when Luke died, it was kind of a punch in my chest.
I think so. Initially, when I first watched Last Jedi, I thought I loved it. I think, again, like I said, I think it's still probably the best sequel movie. But I think the worst part about it is that they killed off Luke, and that he couldn't do anything in the finale in Episode 9. And obviously, this is no fault of anyone. This is just a horrific, I was going to say misunderstanding, but that's completely the wrong word. A horrific situation where the last original trilogy actor in the movie was the only one that was no longer with us. That also then made Episode 9 even harder to write, I'm sure. And they had to kind of take Leia out of some stuff, which sucks.
Not an ideal day for me. My friends will tell you that I was kind of quiet in the car going back to the dorm rooms. And then I proceeded to get extremely, extremely annoyed with a lot of what The Last Jedi did. It was not how you say a fan. And I've been a little more angry about it in the past. The worst of it was probably initially after seeing the movie. That was probably the most negative.
I feel like that's a lot of people.
And then as time went on, very gradually, I started reading up like video essays. I started looking up other people's takes on YouTube, seeing what they thought about it, and I remember, and I was just like, yeah, I felt that way too. Like, you know, Finn's story got shafted. I wasn't a big fan of the scope of the movie. I thought, why does the second movie take place right after the events of episode 7?
That is also probably the worst part of the sequel trilogy. People can say like, oh, they didn't have a plan for going throughout, which, yeah, that sucks. That's not great. But if they didn't have the entire sequel trilogy take place over a 2-year period, and then 66% of it is within the same 3-4 days or whatever, that sucks. There's no way characters can really develop between films. Like, original trilogy, I think there's 5 years from A New Hope to Return of the Jedi. I think that's the timeline, and obviously prequels is like 15 years. But that's one of the things that hurts the sequel trilogy the most, is there's little time to kind of show development between characters that's not on screen, because there's little time where we see them where they're not on screen because they go like immediately after. And I think Rise of Skywalker is what, a year after Last Jedi or something like that, which Rise of Skywalker is something else. Yeah, the vibe of Last Jedi, I don't like. I think the thing about Last Jedi that I still like the most is the expectations that it just dismembered. Like when Snoke was going through like everything, like Kylo Ren, and he's moving the lightsaber and he kills his true enemy. I'm like, there's no way Snoke does not see this coming. And then apparently he didn't actually see it coming, and then then Snoke dies. I was like, oh, that's so cool that they did that. And then the fight after was a little lackluster in my opinion, but the thought of Last Jedi and how cool and different it was, I think the one thing that made me wish that they kind of kept on pushing with Last Jedi is if Rey was like, oh yeah, Ben, let's do things together. Like once Kylo Ren got to the end of his whole spiel, it's like, join me and we can rule the galaxy. I was like, no, dude, no. We always had like a cool, like kind of like gray Jedi thing with the main character and the main protagonist and the main villain of a Star Wars movie. That would have been so cool going into the last episode of a trilogy. But they didn't do that, unfortunately. And then the last episode happened. But yeah, that's probably the thing about Last Jedi. That was the best part, is that it was just so different, which a lot of people hate Rian Johnson for, and a lot of people love Rian Johnson for. And I'm kind of in the middle.
Time needs to pass to develop these characters a little bit more. This is literally like 10 minutes after the events of The Force Awakens. They're evacuating the base.
Mm-hmm.
It's from the beginning. It leads you to believe that this is directly after Starkiller Base is destroyed. And then all of these different things happen. Vice Admiral Holdo, and then new characters like Vice Admiral Holdo and Rose Tico. DJ, played by Benicio del Toro. I think the most egregious,
I forgot that
in my head,
Benicio del Toro is in Last
Luke
Jedi,
Skywalker
honestly.
At the time, I have to reiterate. I cannot stress this enough. At
Oh,
the time.
man.
I just didn't. The depressed Luke didn't resonate with me. It wasn't something
That's
that
fair.
I was a big fan of.
I kind of
had
liked it, honestly.
Luke Skywalker,
but I get it.
For as long as I can remember, ever since I first saw Episode 4, A New Hope, Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker was my favorite fiction character, maybe next to Optimus Prime. He was
that is that's crazy.
Luke Skywalker. I love Luke Skywalker. And seeing him in such a depressive,
the music in Last Jedi was great. That was amazing. I think there are two scenes in the sequel trilogy that I love the look and sound of, that absolutely break lore. The one is the Holdo maneuver. The Holdo maneuver absolutely kind of breaks Star Wars in a way, but the visual and the sound, or the lack thereof, in that scene, it's so good. I love it. And in Rise of Skywalker, probably my favorite part or my favorite scene, like I said in my favorite scenes in Star Wars video that I published a few days ago, my favorite scene is when Palpatine does his like lightning storm move, which when just like the bass just hit in the theaters, oh, that just hit differently. Again, it's kind of world breaking, but those two scenes are probably two of my favorite looking and sounding scenes in the entire sequel trilogy, and they also both are probably some of the most hated scenes in the entire sequel trilogy. Oh my goodness.
Sad state where he's kind of given up. Didn't sit well with me at all. I was very upset. It hurt me to watch him like that. And I remember when he finally did kind of get his head out of his ass, for the lack of a better term, he dies. So I remember
that is unfortunate.
When he shows up and does the cool Force Ghost thing against Kylo Ren, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think this part was so cool. How people said like, oh, this is like the most Jedi thing Luke could do, is he fights, but he's never actually there. I was like, yeah, that's cool. That's true. That's a really cool thing. And then he just disappears and becomes one with the Force. I was like, no. No. But I mean, this whole scene with him and Kylo Ren was pretty sick.
And I remember when they started playing the Binary Sunset theme, the Star Wars theme, like and he sees the twin suns again. I kind of had in my head like, oh God, they're gonna kill him, aren't they? He's gonna die doing this, and he disappeared.
That he does.
I just remember this void in my stomach, and I didn't talk for like 20 minutes. I was just like, And yeah, that shit pretty much represented my entire experience at the movie. I did not have
That's fair.
I had a good time, but I walked out feeling very numb. And
I think that's the thing that I feel with about all Star Wars movies. I definitely like some more than others, but I don't. When a movie stops, when a Star Wars movie stops, I had fun. Even if I didn't like the overall plot of it, I still had fun, which is something unique to Star Wars that I don't think I have with any other series or series of movies or franchises. I think Star Wars is one of the few, if not the only, franchise that I can watch a movie of, not thoroughly enjoy the plot, but still have fun.
I don't like walking out of a movie feeling numb, especially when I go in so excited. I thought the villains, I thought the Snoke Red Room battle was pretty cool. I thought Snoke dying was a nice surprise. It didn't end
I agree.
the way I thought it was going to end. I thought Kylo and Rey were going to end up joining forces, or Kylo was going to leave and Rey was going to take up the First Order. I had all these crazy predictions.
Oh, that would have been crazy. That would have been crazy.
None of it happened, and that in and of itself was not enough to make me go, the movie sucks because it didn't happen the way I want it to happen. I was never one of those guys. But I remember just feeling so unfulfilled at the end of the movie, and maybe it's because it was the middle movie and it left it on a pretty decently sized cliffhanger. You didn't really know what was going on next. But no, I wasn't a fan at all. Just wasn't a huge fan. Then around 2018, 2019,
just wasn't a huge fan.
For the first time since pretty much seeing it in theaters, I didn't see it for almost a year. I didn't watch it when it came out on Blu-ray. I didn't want to watch it because I already knew what was going to happen. I was like, I don't want to watch my favorite character die. I don't want to watch Leia get sucked into space. I don't want to watch Admiral Akbar die. There was just so much about this movie that I didn't like.
That is finally, one of the craziest things about Last Jedi, is that they just silently kill Akbar. Like, one of the guys who is probably maybe one of the main responsible reasons for the memes of Star Wars, and then they just silently kill him off. That's crazy. Nothing for poor old Akbar.
Watched it at my dorm again. We got it. I think it was a Blu-ray. It might have been a Blu-ray rental. We might have gotten it from Redbox or something like that. Me and my buddies watched it together, and we knew what was going to happen, so we weren't getting utterly shocked and angry. we still had commentary since we had seen it. You know, we commentaried during the movie, and I remember it ended, and I was like, that wasn't as bad as I remember. It wasn't quite as bad as I remember. And I remember I thought back to all those times over the years that I was raging about it, talking about,
Hey,
this
Andrew
just doesn't
Wifey.
happen.
How's it going?
Why does that happen? And you know, when you're mad at something, you always try and find a way to get angry at the little things that may not have bothered you if you had enjoyed the movie. So I was like,
True.
And then this was wrong, and then that was wrong, and then this was wrong, and then that was wrong. Why would they do it like this? And I remember when I knew what we were getting, the other stuff that I had issue with still kind of bothered me, but it didn't affect me as much, and I wasn't as angry watching it. And I remember after it was done, we still were pretty lukewarm on the movie, but I looked at my buddy and I was like, still not a fan, so to speak, but I don't hate it anymore. Cool.
Cool.
And so then The Last Jedi kind of went into like this weird purgatory with me. I started, when people started asking me to rank them, I would say, yeah, Last Jedi is either the worst or second worst for me. And that
Then
wasn't,
Rise of Skywalker
like,
came out.
Even that wasn't popular. Like, guys, discourse surrounding Last Jedi in the immediate aftermath of the movie was radioactive. It was brave of you to say anything
that was
positive
crazy.
about that movie in the immediate 6 months to a year after that.
You couldn't say anything good about Last Jedi because half the fan base would say you know nothing about Star Wars, and if you said you liked Last Jedi, wait, what did I say? If you said you liked The Last Jedi, half the fan base would say you don't know Star Wars. If you said you hated Last Jedi, people would say that you can't enjoy anything or have fun, or you're, I don't know, some sort of bad term. I don't know. How do I feel about Star Trek? Honestly, the only Star Trek I've watched are the new ones with Chris Pine. I know some of the original series are pretty good. I think it's Deep Space Nine, I think, is considered really good. Or it's like Star Trek Next Generation's really good. I don't really know all too much about Star Trek. But I mean, I feel like I could enjoy Star Trek. I don't know why, it just doesn't capture me as much as Star Wars. Maybe because we're doing wars instead of treks. That's stupid. Yeah, I think with Last Jedi, I think that is probably one of the biggest takeaways of Last Jedi, is that I did not know what to think, because there'd be parts where I thought were really awesome, and then there were parts that I really hated. I should watch OG Star Trek. It's really good with William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. I should. When did those come out? Hey Jay, how's it going? Didn't get a notification? Man, that's rough. That's real rough. It's okay. I'm just watching a video on Star Wars and multi-streaming to YouTube and Twitch, so now I have two different chats to look after. But it is what it is. Hey, this just means I get more viewership, right? 60s or 70s? Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I've kind of seen some clips of that, obviously, and I'm not completely uncultured. Disney ruined lightsabers? Why do you think Disney ruined lightsabers? I'm curious. Because I actually have a video in mind of how lightsabers might be some of, if not the hardest weapon to write for. Because it's a weapon that can only be blocked by a couple things. And there's probably others out there that I just can't think of. Another lightsaber. And Beskar. I think there's like one or two other metals that can stop it. But imagine trying to write for a weapon that can literally slice through anything almost instantly, except for a couple of materials. I have heard that Wrath of Khan is really good. I have heard that. Jay, shh, don't say anything. don't say anything about the affiliate contract. Shh. Don't tell on me. Well, like in the Lucasfilm movies, they would slice through everything like Dooku's head, and in Disney, Finn got slashed in the back. This is true. I think with the Finn getting slashed in the back, I think that was more of a distance thing. I don't think, let's say this is the entire blade, and let's say this is let's say this is the blade, and then this is like Finn's back. I think what happened, it was more like this, where he kind of got clipped. It wasn't like it hit him and then kind of retracted and then just slashed his back. I think it was just the distance in that scene that caused him to just get a cut on the back. When same with when Rey took a hit at Ben's face. Yeah, I mean, I think again that's just a distance thing. But it's very convenient for them to be exactly lightsaber distance away to cut through. You're not wrong on that front. I believe, Jay, below my Twitch stream, I think there should be a link to my Star Wars channel. If not, look up Tashi Station, and then you'll need to scroll down a little bit. Oh man. All right, let's get back to this video because I'm not even halfway there.
My God. So even me not putting it dead last made people go like, really? How? What could possibly be worse than The Last Jedi? And so,
Rise of Skywalker.
Then it was a few more months than that. I was very candid with my opinions, at least what I thought were my opinions. I wasn't trying to be bad faith about my criticisms. And then around shortly after I graduated from college, I started watching it. I watched all the movies again. Some things I would laugh at a little bit more. Some things I would say, okay.
That is one thing about Star Wars abilities, is that they can obviously come up with some new stuff and just take stuff from like extended universe or Legends or something like that, and then add that in, and it's really cool. But then when you think about like going back on it, like I just watched the How It Should Have Ended of Kenobi, and then Qui-Gon's like, wait, Force Heal is a thing? Like, and also kind of going off that, Force Speed, we only see that used in Phantom Menace. That's it. There's so many other times where they could have sprinted away from something really quick and then be safe. Or like, imagine if they did like a lightsaber battle where they were constantly going at force speed. So from like outsider's perspective, it's just like a blur. But then like we see the Jedi in motion. That'd be really cool. But I guess it'd be hard to do, I suppose. I don't know. Prequel space battle scenes are really good. The opening shot to Revenge of the Sith is solid. It's very solid.
Okay, that was pretty cool. A little bit more. But I think the one thing
I think I can turn this up a little
firmly changed my trajectory of the Last Jedi discourse, the very thing that changed the trajectory of my opinion regarding the Last Jedi towards a little bit more of a positive angle, had to have been after watching Rise of Skywalker. Because here's how my thought process went with Rise
there you go.
I said, going into it, I said, okay, I wasn't a fan of The Last Jedi. And by that point, I had cooled significantly on The Last Jedi. It wasn't as radioactive as it was in the year and a half preceding, in like the year and a half succeeding that time period.
I feel like this is almost everyone with Last Jedi.
And I remember saying, I said, well, I wasn't a fan of how they did it in Episode 7, but I'd be cool if they explored some of those storylines that got introduced in Episode 7. Like, I'd be interested in Rey continuing to be a nobody. I find that kind of intriguing to me. I want to see where she goes from.
That was like one of the best parts about Last Jedi, is that Rey was not connected to anyone. Like, obviously that kind of threw away some expectations, like, oh, she's a Kenobi, she's a Skywalker, which she was at the end, or a Palpatine, which she was. Like, it was cool that she was just someone. Well, she was no one who became someone. That's really cool. It is crazy how there's going to be another Indiana Jones. I'm hoping that it's better than Crystal Skull, because I haven't seen that in forever. But that is not nearly as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. Last Crusade is so good. So good. But yeah, his stunt double will be doing a lot of work. Really pissed me off at the end of Rise of Skywalker when she says she was a Skywalker. You see, I didn't have too much of a feeling towards that. I was just like, oh, cool. She's just like, I'm kind of shedding the Palpatine history, like basically my lineage, and I'm basically going to self-adapt myself into this other family, Skywalkers. I was like, she's been trained by two of them. I was like, I think that's fine. But I could kind of see how if there's a character that they didn't like so much, Rey, and then she's just like, oh, hey, I'm a Skywalker, one of the most beloved families in all of Star Wars. People would be like, yo, that's kind of weird. I don't like it. Your theater had an event for episode 7, showed all 6 movies, and then the 7th, the day before it was released. Oh, that's sick. That's so cool. Full buffet was great. Getting to see all the movies on the big screen was... That is one thing. I think it was like a couple of years ago where they were showing one of the OT movies on in a theater. I was like, I kind of just want to go just so I could see it in a theater, because obviously I'm not like 46 years old, right? Well, I'd probably need to be at least 50 so I could remember going to the theater. I wonder if old Rey will get all wrinkly and old like Palpatine. Do you imagine?
From here, is she a Skywalker? I don't know how I feel about it, but probably not, leaning towards no. And I remember watching Rise of Skywalker in theaters, and I wasn't a fan, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Rise of Skywalker more so than The Last Jedi or any other movie could. The Rise of Skywalker was what kind of dampened some enthusiasm regarding Star Wars. And thank God that The Mandalorian came out earlier that year, because if we didn't have that to soften our cushion on the way down, Star Wars might have been limping for a little while.
Probably still would be.
So I remember people ask me, why do you hate The Rise of Skywalker more than, not hate, that's a strong word. Why do you prefer The Last Jedi over Rise of Skywalker? First of all, I found The Last Jedi infinitely more rewatchable than The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, for sure.
I thought The Rise of Skywalker felt unfinished. I thought it felt weak and wooden in a lot of ways, and it felt like a movie that kind of got thrown together.
That would be kind of sick.
And the one thing that I have always given The Last Jedi,
I feel like they're going to bring back Windu somewhere, somehow, honestly.
Movie that got completed to the exact number that the director wanted. Rian Johnson definitely made the movie he wanted to make, and for better or worse, that's like a really important thing when you're regarding movies in comparison to other movies. The Last Jedi does feel like a completed film, even if you disagree with the direction, the tone, the acting, performance. Like it definitely feels like one of the few times in that time period that a movie got made in the Lucasfilm era that went exactly according to plan. We didn't hear any rumblings about issues behind the scenes. Rian Johnson seems to have been on good terms with virtually everybody during it. Even Mark Hamill. Yes, even Mark Hamill. People love bringing out the clips where he was talking about how much of an issue he had with it. And look, granted, he might have very well had an issue with it, but he didn't have any animosity towards Rian Johnson, and that's kind of what a lot of people spun it towards. But no, man, if you compare The Last Jedi's production quality...
It'd been interesting if they brought back Windu, that's for sure.
And by the way, no disrespect or dissing intended towards people who did enjoy Rise of Skywalker. I love that for you, and there was some stuff I liked about the movie as well. But
yes.
I thought it was
I don't know how people just can't say that, right? I don't like this movie. But if you like it, good for you. Like, people get offended and upset if someone likes a Star Wars film that they hate. Get over yourself. It's a Star Wars movie. And just let people enjoy things they enjoy. I just thought of something cool. What if they made Finn Windu's son and they have a reunion and figure out Finn is a Jedi and they have father-son duo? I think they could have done that. I think their best bet would be to just go with Finn being some random person who was taken into the First Order. I think Finn has an interesting enough backstory of being an ex-stormtrooper that he doesn't also need to be Windu's son. I think there could be a character that is like Windu's son or Windu's relative that's force sensitive. I think that could be cool. But I don't think they need to add that onto Finn because he already has a really cool backstory of being ex-stormtrooper.
Obvious that there were some moments there that clearly got done and shot as a course correction after the events of The Last Jedi, and I wasn't a big fan of that. It kind of broke my heart.
That is one other thing. Sorry, I'm pausing like I am Asmongold. It is so stupid how J.J. Abrams or whoever decided to try to go out of their way to kind of contradict what happened in Last Jedi. Like, they didn't build off of it. They were just like, oh, what this thing that happened in Last Jedi that people hated, let's just go back on that rather than trying to expand on it and just make it better. I don't understand that. Rey learning from Windu and Yoda, that'd be kind of sick. It'd be like the Jedi Temple all over again. She's too old to be trained though.
Out of it, even more so than it itself being a less than stellar movie in my opinion, despite all of the pomp and circumstance that surrounded it. The trailers were absolutely fire. I almost cry every time I watch the trailer where C-3PO is like, taking one last look, sir, at my friends, and they play like the it's like very much a tearjerker, and then you hear like, the Force will be with you always, and you see that glimmer of light in Rey's eyes, and you're like, that's how you look at Star Wars. Like, the trailers were gorgeous. All three of the movie's trailers were top notch. But then seeing the movie, it just felt very, very like a dud to me. Now I watched it again in the years following. You know, when you had nothing to do during the pandemic, you definitely caught up on your Star Wars, and it helped me grow up in a lot of areas. And I remember when I would rewatch The Last Jedi around COVID time, because we were all stuck in our houses, couldn't do nothing. And I remember watching it again and saying, oh my God. It was around the same time I joined TikTok as well. I said, oh my God, I don't hate this movie anymore. And a lot of it might have had to do with the Rise of Skywalker, but a lot of it also had to do with me getting older, rewatching it, understanding why decisions were made, understanding that, you know, even if it's not like the most ideal situation you had hoped for regarding Luke, it is a generally realistic scenario. You know, like the whole people
I agree.
People refuse to imagine that Luke Skywalker would have ever thought about striking down
I think this is most based take you can make is it's not what I preferred, but it's understandable given the situation. Yeah, the problem with the sequels is that it kind of made the OT completely irrelevant, like Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Episode 7, there's no Jedi, and the Empire is back. That is one of the weirdest things about the sequel trilogy. It's like, we destroyed the Empire. And then not immediately, about 2 decades later, the First Order is a thing, and no one's trying to do anything about it except for this small group of people. Did you guys not learn from the Empire just taking over? Like, the New Republic did nothing. And then they got slaughtered by a newer version of the Death Star.
Nephew. Luke is no different. You know, he's a very powerful Force user. He's my favorite character of all time. Lord knows I wanted to put him on a pedestal because it's Luke Skywalker. I wanted to see him again.
That's fair.
2 years after seeing The Force Awakens, after figuring out he wasn't in any of the movie until the very last scene, I had to wait another 2 years to actually hear him say his first words.
That is crazy that happened.
But I remember...
that is crazy that Luke Skywalker's only in like 5 seconds of Episode 7.
You're not a fan, you're not really supposed to like where he is in that state of mind. But it's a fairly realistic scenario. And I remember having to relay that on... That's actually how I found Darth Chaka.
Have you heard the theory that Phase 1 clone in Episode 2 that helped Padme when she fell out of the Republic ship was Rex? But I think it's crazy because he went from a conscript to a captain. I have not heard that theory. That'd be interesting. Because I know Cody wasn't on the Battle of Geonosis. But I don't know... I don't know if Rex was or wasn't. Because I know Cody says that he wasn't in Season 2 of Clone Wars, where they have to go back to Geonosis. Which, those 3 episodes are pretty great. But, yeah, I'm not sure if that is a theory. I'm assuming people did their research and Rex was. Or didn't confirm that he didn't go. Was Wolf on Geonosis? I'm not sure. I honestly kind of just know that Cody wasn't. I can't think of any other main high importance clone that has said if they were or weren't. Off the top of my head, anyway.
And all that stuff. That's actually how we met. I expressed my general dislike for The Last Jedi to him, but I did it in a respectful manner, and it made him realize, like, oh, damn, like, you're the first person to say it as nice as you did. And I was like, damn.
That's rough.
Damn. And so as I got more into Star Wars, you learn more, you read more books, and you just kind of just have a better understanding of the human mind and the human tendencies and stuff. And you just kind of just go like, a lot of this stuff actually does make sense. And Knives Out helped too. Like, I remember, like, I didn't want to give Rian Johnson any
Knives Out
props
and
for, like, a year.
Glass Onion.
I saw Knives Out.
So
I know
good.
It has nothing to do with Star Wars, but I was
so
like, okay,
good.
he's a pretty good filmmaker. I don't want to say that he's that's like, I don't want to be bad faith about him. And I remember just like, as I got older, the less negative I got toward the movie. And it wasn't just because like I didn't have the energy to hate on it anymore, because trust me, things I don't like, I will absolutely always have time to talk about. You know what I'm saying? But with this one, it was just like, my mind has evolved. I've gotten older as a person. I understand now that this is what he was trying to do. And I respect that that's what he was trying to do. And I went from saying, oh, he shouldn't get another trilogy, to, damn, it's a shame that he's probably not going to be able to write this new trilogy because of how radioactive the last time he embraced Star Wars was. I feel for him, really, because I think if you give him another product and a new IP within the franchise, I think he could do a good job.
Oh, absolutely.
From, the Skywalker side that hasn't really been explored
I agree.
in Star Wars, and then that should be peachy. But, nah, man, I think Rian Johnson, in terms of putting it together, a film, did an excellent job. Still not my favorite by any means, but it's definitely not my least favorite. I went from despising that film to being...
If Episode 7 was Luke rebuilding the temple and starting to train young Jedi and Leia rebuilding the Republic, then the conflict arising in Kylo wanting to be like Anakin and destroy the New Republic. That would have been so good. Sorry, thought I heard something. That would have been so good. Would have been all set up you need, jump ahead 20 years, and then show the Rey storyline. But no, apparently the New Republic just pretends the First Order isn't a thing. Sure. Sure.
Negative about it, but understanding certain things, to being lukewarm about it, but still kind of negative. Rise of Skywalker changed all that, and it made me go, damn, I guess you can get worse. No offense. But then during the pandemic, when we had like 2 years to pretty much stay in the house.
For a second, I thought my screen just went black. They made movies. The fact that they haven't made an Old Republic movie is absolutely ridiculous. It's been how many years since the original KOTOR came out? It's beloved. There's so much you could pull from. There's so many things you could do. And you haven't made a live action, or even better, an animated movie about it? Or animated series? Get it together, Lucasfilm and Disney. Just give us Old Republic. Make new characters that are cool. Maybe sprinkle in some of the cool characters like Malik or Malgus. And then you could do an animated series in the similar vein of Clone Wars, but with things none of us know about, or at least none of it is really canon. Why don't you do that? Rebels, when Rebels first came out, I was like, oh, I don't like the animation style. But honestly, with how condensed Rebels is in the 4 seasons it has, I don't really remember. But with how much shorter Rebels is as a series compared to Clone Wars, Rebels, on average, probably has a better episode than Clone Wars. I think Clone Wars has better episodes overall, but I think the frequency of good episodes in Rebels is more frequent than Clone Wars, honestly. But I love Clone Wars so much.
I watched it a few more times, and I was like, it's not bad. I mean, like, I would rather watch that over Attack of the Clones. I unironically would rather watch that over Attack of the Clones.
Same!
Attack of the Clones, the first, like, third of
Same.
that movie. To me, the first, like, third of that movie is just...
Besides... Excuse you, Kat. Besides Rise of Skywalker, Attack of Clones might be my least favorite Star Wars movie. I love it. I grew up with it. But I'd probably still rather watch Last Jedi, honestly.
Just... I love it to death, but there's some moments where I'm just like, oh, dude, what are you guys doing?
I don't like saying.
Yep.
Last Jedi, at the very least, you know, I thought it was charming enough to be able to turn it on in the background, like sort of like the same way I regard Phantom Menace. There's still plenty of things about the Phantom Menace that I'm not a big fan of, but it had that same level of like rewatchability.
It had Duel of the Fates. That's what he's trying to say. It had Duel of the Fates.
I don't want to say the same level of charm because episode 1 is entirely more innocent than The Last Jedi, but it had that same comfort to it that I experienced everywhere else, like in The Phantom Menace. The Last Jedi and The Phantom Menace are alike in that regard, to me at least. I am...
Yeah, we need a Clone Wars type animated series to explain how the New Republic failed so miserably that has potential to save the sequels. I think a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, there's some Star Wars creators with a loud voice, I'll just say Theory, who don't want, and I like Theory, I want to clarify, who don't want more sequels stuff that relates to the sequels. But in my opinion, sequels are still going to be a thing. So the only thing you can do is try to connect things to the sequels to make the sequels better. If you just leave them on their own island, nothing will happen to them. They'll just sit there and still be a thing. And then, sure, maybe the things that are being created that don't relate to that you'll like more. But if you get good things that you like that relate to the things you don't like, maybe you'll like the stuff that you didn't like a little bit more. There are a bunch of memes from episode 2. This is true. That's very true.
An enormous fan of certain things. You know, I thought the hyperspace jump into Snoke's flagship was awesome. I thought the Red Guard fight between Kylo Ren, Rey, and the Red Guards was awesome.
Disagree with that.
Death twist was top notch. I was not expecting that.
Agree.
I legitimately thought he was going to be a main villain. So when he died, I was like, oh, I guess it's Kylo. And I didn't know that Palpatine was going to come back again somehow. I thought the acting performances were very good, but and some stuff that has still kind of maintained my criticism. Finn's storyline I felt was shafted. I was not a big fan of the Canto Bight arc when it came out, and I'm not a fan of it now.
It's not great.
I don't like how not enough time feels like it passed.
It's not great.
Training and stuff like that. I just a lot of that stuff. I would have liked to see a little more time pass. Maybe the Resistance is kind of a little bit more of an open conflict. It's not just like one isolated chase over the course of an entire movie. Maybe we could go a little bit more widespread in scope. I didn't like how the New Republic was virtually just extinct. And this was like, some of these problems transcend to the entire trilogy. It's not just isolated to The Last Jedi. But no, there's...
Hey, thank you, Andrew. I think I said Andrew Wifey before. I'm assuming it's Andrew Iffy. Sorry. But yeah, it's a hot 1:14 a.m. here. The only reason I'm still up is because I got to feed my child in about 15 minutes, so I'm just staying up until 1:30. Oh, man. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the chats. I'm going to try to stream more frequently, so appreciate you for stopping by.
Plenty of narrative decisions that I wasn't a big fan of, and that'll probably never go away. because you know that's how criticism works. Like, you know, some things you might have evolved on, and other things you might be like, nah, 4 years later, it's just as negative.
Okay, new sub. Hey, thanks for stopping by, dude. I appreciate it. Currently 2 a.m. for you. Yeah, it's a late one for us all. But yeah, if I can stream like this, do some kind of more just chatting stuff like this with even a few people, hey, that's better than talking to myself. So appreciate you both for stopping by this whole time. Well, for a good portion of this at least. I appreciate it.
As before, but I think overall, looking at The Last Jedi, if I turned it on right now, I wouldn't like be repugnant of it. Like, so many people swore their lives down to put this movie in the grave, and so much foul stuff has been said towards people who were fans. Some of the actors and actresses had to deal with the brunt of it as well.
That's the craziest
it's very
thing.
Unfortunate, and I think seeing
So
a lot
stupid.
of that might have been what
Yep.
pushed me firmly off of the aggressive anger train, because I was like, I don't want to be associated with people who send, you know, death threats and all this. It's like, what the fuck? No, absolutely not. So no, I mean, it's a good time. I mean, now it's a good time to me. And I try and think of it through a lens of somebody who, you know, you look at what the director's trying to do, and when he explained it, and to his credit, he explained it very well. Even some things that took me a while to get around to, I was like, I don't agree with you, but I see why you did it. So there's no point in me like raging about it, because, like, you know, this is like an interpretive type of thing. You think that Luke Skywalker, it's entirely possible for him to kind of relapse into this, you know, like sad sack of a Jedi. It would have been cool to see him a little more idealistic, but that's what you chose to do, and you know, I kind of respect
I
it,
agree.
to be honest with you. But nah, guys, it was a very large and long and grueling transformative period regarding my opinion on Star Wars, and I honestly think that my opinion on The Last Jedi changing kind of reflects my opinion on Star Wars in general. I feel like I've grown as a fan, understanding, you know, I learned more about The Last Jedi trying to criticize it than I ever did watching it in theaters. I was like, well, let me look at more reasons why it's wrong, and I ended up learning more about Star Wars in the process, so it was really cool.
That's kind of
yeah,
funny.
The Rise of Skywalker is probably my least favorite out of the Skywalker saga. It might even be of all time. But no, guys, that's pretty much my video. It was a fun journey, and it might even continue to change. It might even relapse again. I might watch it and say, oh yeah, that is kind of bad. I might have to change my list. My list, if you ask me my favorite Star Wars movies,
I'm curious.
From top to bottom, it'll change like every other month.
Oh,
there are certain
I thought he was
going to
list it out.
Certain things that'll move down.
Dang it.
Recently, Return of the Jedi is in my top 3. It wasn't always like
Oh.
that. Return of the Jedi is so freaking good. I hope you guys
Interesting.
enjoyed this video. I hope you guys see it from my point of view. And if you had that same kind of experience regarding The Last Jedi as me, I'd like to know that in the comments. What are your opinions on The Last Jedi? Let me unveil that ticking time bomb. Your thoughts in the comments. Drop a subscription if you're new, and if you would like to be
I
aware
am
of
new,
more videos in the
and you will
future,
get a
right,
sub.
as they come out, please feel free to hit the bell icon right next to the subscription button so that you're among the first to see any new content moving forward. This is Mesa Windu out. You can call me Mace too, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. May the Force be with you always.
That was probably the most based video I've ever watched on Last Jedi. There's too much sense. There's too much sense in that video for the normal Star Wars fan, I feel like. Oh my god, that's funny. But yeah, solid video. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a link to this video below. Go give him a like, go give him a sub if you enjoyed the video. But yeah, that was pretty solid. It's a good video. I am glad I watched it tonight, even though it took me a while to get through it. Stopped a few times. Started talking about Star Trek a couple times. Oh my god. But there are a couple things I want to talk about before I end stream. I only have probably 10 minutes to do this. I just want to go over some Star Wars news. And one of it is Ahsoka castings. So there's this, Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka Tano, obviously. Then Natasha, I'm not going to try to say your last name, I'm sorry, is going to be Sabine Wren. And then Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. And honestly, all of this, great. And then live action Ezra and Thrawn too. All that's coming. Ahsoka is going to be... I'm most hyped for Ahsoka for this year, for any Star Wars show. It's just going to be so good. But also on top of that, there is Savannah Stein, I'm not sure how to say that, but she is going to play a Clone Wars era Ahsoka in Ahsoka. Okay, that was kind of redundant. But it'll be interesting to see how they go about the time frame of Ahsoka, because I think they're starting with kind of like the last scene of Rebels, where they're going to look for Ezra and Thrawn, and she's looking for Thrawn in Mando. So it'll be interesting to see how we do flashbacks and who we see in the clone era flashbacks. Do we see Anakin? Do we see Rex? I don't know, but we should. But oh yeah, also just I saw this art for Boba Fett for Star Wars 1313. This looks so sick. Also, it kind of just reminds me of Mando, so I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of pulled from this to create the Mando look. New look of Ahsoka in the Ahsoka series. I think they made her Leku longer, which I am a fan of, because I don't want to sound like, I don't know, but I feel like for Ahsoka, like, her Leku were shorter in live action, and I get kind of similar with Grand Inquisitor. It's hard to take a animation character or an animated character and then make it live action rather than vice versa. Because what we see about Ahsoka in this time frame wasn't exactly what we saw in Mandalorian's Ahsoka, but I guess we'll have to see. Rosario Dawson still killed it though. Skeleton Crew's going to be interesting. So here's a image of Jude Law in Skeleton Crew. I'm really curious because I heard that they're going to be talking about Night Sisters in Skeleton Crew, so that's going to be something. It'll be really cool to see where they go from there. And then yeah, I saw this in the original script for Rise of Skywalker, and I'm assuming this is talking about Rise of Skywalker, not the Duel of the Fates. What is it, Kevin? I don't know. Whoever did the Duel of the Fates script, Kylo Ren says, "Yours clone to Palpatine responds more than a clone, less than a man," which kind of hints at him being cloned multiple times, trying to perfect that technology a little bit. And then lastly, this is the first depiction, apparently, of Anakin pre-Vader and Padme from a 1993 Star Wars trading card series. This is nutty to look at and then compare it to what we got. He looks, I mean, honestly, he kind of looks like an older, more pissed off version of Luke. But this is just so crazy to look at. Imagine if they kind of went with this route for prequels. That'd been crazy. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. It was a lot, and appreciate Jason and Andrew for stopping by, chatting on the YouTube side, and then Jay on the Twitch side. Appreciate you all very much. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Maybe I'll just kind of unanimously just put this on YouTube videos that I'm going to pull from this. But thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you. Hopefully I can pull all this down from Twitch and nothing is silenced. And I don't know why how it should have ended was muted or taken down. I don't know.